Okay, so I'm about to start my interview. Wish me luck.
Hi,
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's so nice to meet you. May I ask what
Yes,
is your name?
my name
Oh, it's very nice to meet you.
is it Sarah or Dara?
Dara.
Dara. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your experience.
Sure. So I've been an ESL teacher for 16 years. I started with the AmeriCorps program back in June of 2005. That is not on my resume actually, but shortly after I started working for the and I was there for about 6 years. And then I just continued on this ESL journey. And currently, I have my own business. I actually do private tutoring service with adult learners. But throughout my experience, I've had the opportunity to work with within the Asian community, the Russian community, just variety of communities, helping adults not only learn English, but to help them with their confidence and helping them with life skills, because that's something I'm very passionate about. I've also had experience working as a job developer or career advisor because they changed titles over the years, helping these ESL learners find work opportunities as well as the general public.
So, have you taught all ages and all levels?
I have taught only adults. Usually, the youngest, I guess, adult student would be 18 years of age, and I've taught adults as into the elder population. I have taught all levels from beginner to advanced. However, I must note that I love working with the beginner level. From my experience, a lot of times the beginner level students don't always get that attention that they need, and I feel very passionate in helping them not just learn the language, but to get the skills that they need so they can pursue a higher level of the English language and opportunities. So,
What different books or curriculum are you familiar with, and do you have a preference?
mm, thank you so much for asking. I've actually worked with a variety of books. My absolute favorite is Side by Side. I've used Future, I've used All Star, Betty Azar's Basic English, and I've also used Step Forward. So those are the ones I've used consecutively. And I also like to create my own materials as well.
The curriculum we're going with now is called.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? I apologize.
I asked you to teach either a present perfect or a present continuous lesson. How would you do that?
Hmm. Well, I usually start depending on the level. So, for example, if this was more of a low intermediate level class, the first thing I would like to do is I like to, on a whiteboard, I would actually write it out. Of course, I'm thinking in person classroom, but even online, same thing. I would write out like the word present perfect, continuous, for example. And then I would say, let's repeat after me because I really like to focus on pronunciation first before we dive into the grammar. And then I might give an example. For example, I have been teaching English for 5 years, right? And then I would step by step explain each point, like why we say I have been, and then the continuous teaching. So then I would go step by step and explain each point. I use a lot of colorful markers so it can highlight certain points like past participle, continuous, etc. But if it was online, depending on the platform I'm using, I would definitely use like the little highlighters and as I'm explaining. Maybe what I would do is give another example and then have the students read it first and then ask them why ing, and then they have them explain to me. Maybe have them do pair work. So for example, let's say if I feel like the students understand, then I would have maybe give a very like small assignment, like a do now, and then afterwards the students would be the teachers. So I'll say, okay, group one, Mr. So and so, can you explain the sentence? And then him and his partner would explain to us, and then we would either critique or make any corrections, etc. So I like to really make it student centered, especially online, because from my experience, I see some students will just sit there and kind of doze off maybe or lose interest. I've had that experience with a student was like this. And I said, Miss So and so, are you okay? They said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I try to make it as engaging as I have props. I'll pull up something. Maybe I'll have my coffee. I'll say, it's okay. If you have your coffee, take your sip of coffee and then we'll try again. Maybe some students are just either resistant or they're really having a hard time and it's that one or two strong student, then what I would do is say, okay, student so and so, you're going to be my assistants. So now it's like they become student teachers and we three help those group of students. So nobody walks away feeling bored, left out, or feel like it was a waste of time.
Well, Dara, it was so great to meet you. I
Likewise.
appreciate
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your questions. And I'm available if you have any other questions for me. Bye bye.
it. Bye.
Bye bye.